Hey folks, welcome to the show. This is IT Rockstars. This is where we help you grow your IT business and transform it. We help you do that by becoming the local technology leader. So on today's show, I've kind of got a little bit of a question for you. Have you ever done any type of email marketing in your IT business at all? Anything at all? Have you thought about it, or are you already doing it at the moment? Well, on today's show, we've got two email marketing experts. They call themselves superheroes of email marketing. It's Rob and Kennedy. Now, I've got a question for you guys. Now, this is from my perspective. It's not my audience's perspective. And a question to actually having you on the show. It's because I'm really putting you in this spot here because we haven't really prepared for this. Is I hate email marketing. And the reason for that is because I ignore all the emails that I get into my inbox on a regular basis. They could be from like paid services that I'm actually paying for, and I'm ignoring the emails. So when it comes to email marketing, I'm like, okay, if I'm not reading the emails, then I'm sure most other people like me, they're probably just deleting them or just ignoring them. So that just kind of gives you the idea of where we're coming from here from my perspective. I do email marketing though. So I kind of send out an email every couple of weeks to my list. But it really kind of pains me to do that. So I think for here, you need to like convince me, guys. But also we need to also get some value from the time here today. So if our audience here at IT Rockstars, IT businesses, as I mentioned, and they're looking to really reach small to medium-sized local business owners and deliver some value in the emails that they send out. So it's like, I guess that's where we're starting from here. So the first question I've got for you is, and maybe we want to answer that question first, is like, convince me that why my logic is flawed here. I think we should maybe tackle that question first.
Yeah, the good news is you're right. I mean, most email marketing, I mean, the vast majority of email marketing is terrible, and it basically serves as notifications at best. Look, Facebook, every time you get tagged in a photograph or a post, Facebook emails you. But do any of us, be honest, do any of us actually read the email? No, we see it, we go, oh, I've been tagged in a thing. And then you go to Facebook to have a look at what you've been tagged in. And the reason for that is most email marketing that you receive and that your audience, your potential customers are receiving is terrible. But that's where the amazing thing is. That's your greatest opportunity. If your emails don't suck, if your emails are actually even just half good, they're going to be much better than most of the emails that your audience are currently receiving, which means that's your opportunity for people to go, oh, actually, of all this rubbish that I receive, these are the emails that I'm going to open up because they're actually valuable in themselves. And that's the big thing that we do at Email Marketing Heroes and we talk about on our podcast, the Email Marketing Show, is we talk about obsessing over having value in the emails themselves.
Okay, I guess my next question here is, what do you mean by value? How can you deliver that within an email?
So it sounds like this really undefined thing, doesn't it? Or just give value to your audience.
Exactly.
And I love you. Have you ever sat down to a blank email or a blank document and thought, how do I just write value? And I think the first thing we need to do is to flick a switch in our mindset. And instead of seeing email as being this sales mechanism, which it is, but instead of seeing it as just a sales mechanism, let's think of it as just another content channel. Because all we do with any marketing we do online at the end of the day is to type things and click buttons. To simplify it down, whether you're posting something on Instagram, whether you're putting together a presentation to deliver in a webinar, whatever you're doing, you are just typing words and clicking buttons. So if we now reduce everything back as far as that, if we strip it back as far as that, whether you take a piece of valuable content and put it on Instagram, or whether you take a valuable piece of content, write it as a script and record it as a podcast episode, or whether you take a valuable piece of content and write it and put it in an email, makes a little difference. So when we think about email as actually just another content channel, another mechanism of delivering content, then that changes our perspective on it a little bit. See, what most people do, to pick up on what Kennedy said about this notifications thing, is they think, oh, we're doing a sale right now, we've got a discount on our services right now, we've got a new service right now, we've got a new member of staff, and that's allowed us to expand our service offerings right now. Is something happens, and then it's very reactive. They say, oh, I need to react to that and tell my audience about it. So you go to your email list and you bash out an email and you hope for the best. And the problem is that is like trying to sell somebody something because it's the right time for you, regardless of whether it's the right time for them. And so what that means is that if you send out an email saying, oh, we've just brought Derek onto the team and Derek's an expert in XYZ service, which means that now we offer this and he's certified in this and it's going to be great. Would you like to book a call and have a chat about having that come in? Well, first of all, not everybody opens your emails. So not your entire list are going to see that. And of the people who do open your emails, the chances of one of them happening to be in exactly the right position at that exact moment in time to book that call and have that conversation are really slim. So this like scattergun approach to marketing doesn't work anymore. And actually what we should be doing instead is to turn up every day in somebody's life, or as often as every single day in somebody's life, to be a person of value to them. Turn up and just be valuable. So tell stories, show them what's going on behind the scenes, talk about interesting stuff. And you might think, oh, MSPs don't have that much interesting stuff to talk about. We'll come on to that in a minute. You're going to do all of this stuff, and we're going to do it in a way that means that when that person is ready to pick up the phone and say, actually, do you know what, we need your help right now because we're an existing client, or we might need your help soon. We're fed up with the one we're working with now. We want to hire you. You're there, and there's no question about who they're going to come to for that.
Okay, so how does this kind of fit into an overall marketing strategy then? Is it another thing that, I'm coming from the perspective of, like, when I send out emails, I've got an active blog and I've got an active social media, and I do YouTube and things like that. Should I be delivering the value in the actual email, or should I be linking to, like what I do, actually linking out to these other properties?
We tested this exact thing. In fact, we found that whenever we sent an email that said, hey, we've just released a new episode of the Email Marketing Show podcast, go check it out, here's the link. We put a little picture of the podcast player in the email and we linked to it. Those were our lowest click-through rates and lowest open engagement emails we were sending across the business. And the reason was there was no value in the email itself. So what we do instead is we use a really simple formula. We use a really simple formula that you could write in like 20 minutes or less. It doesn't have, our emails have no subheadings, no pictures, no graphics, no template,
okay,
nothing.
That was going to be my next question, is like, how do you actually like format the emails? Do you use nice images and stuff?
Really simple, really simple. We literally think about, what is a thing that has happened in the world, in life, in my last 24 hours of being a human? What's the least boring thing that's happened to me? And it might be that this morning my cat made a complete mess of the kitchen floor when they were apparently just eating their breakfast. I don't know what happened in there. It looks like some kind of war happened. But it might be about that. And that's got nothing to do with your IT services. Nope. It's got nothing to do with us teaching email marketing. You might be thinking right now, okay, how do I deliver that as an email? But within that story, within everything you do every single day, there is a metaphor. There is a lesson that your audience will find value in. Because we should not be emailing, I'm going to say something really shocking, but we should not be emailing about our products and services. Hold up, what? Yeah, if you stop emailing to tell people about your products and services, people will start opening your emails, because if you only email about your products and services, the only time people open those emails is when they're already considering your products and services, which means you don't even get your sales message in front of those people. Right? Okay. Yeah. So instead, if we email about stuff that's valuable, where there is a story and there's value in entertainment, people want to know, because people watch reality TV. Yes, the people you're emailing might be B2B, but guess what? You're not emailing the company, you're emailing a person at a company. Right? So they're going to get an email which is about 175 words long. Not very long. They take 20 minutes to write. You tell the story about, I'm going to make this up right now, but my cat's made a right mess of the kitchen floor. It looked like there'd been some kind of crime committed in the kitchen. Now we're going to transition into, what's the metaphor? What is the lesson that we can derive from that story? Sometimes, for me, for us, it might be something like, I don't know, like, there is sometimes things that look messy are actually really quite simple. So we teach email marketing, so we might say, for example, we might look at email marketing and think, that's a really complicated mess. In actual fact, if you drive it all back, it's really two different things. And that's the story. That's the lesson from the story. And then we can go into the offer. The offer might be schedule a call. Yeah. The piece of offer might be, listen to my podcast episode. The offer might be, go have a read of this article. It might be, here's a YouTube video of somebody else who made a really good point about something I think you're going to get value from. The offer can be any kind of call to action.
Do you did you guys, you email every single day?
365 days a year.
Okay. And so does this offer, is it always the same offer, or is it something different? Or
so it's going to depend on your business. For us, probably 70% of the time we're talking about our membership, about email marketing, the league, and literally the call to action is one sentence, and it'll vary anything from, if you'd like help to do this in your business, click here and join the league, through to a bit more of a descriptive thing about one particular element of the league. But what we're really looking to do is to make sure that every single day, it's a bit like if you've ever been to those breakfast networking meetings where you get to stand up and talk for 40 to 60 seconds every week about the thing that you do.
And the reason why Yeah.
The reason why that works so well is that every week you get to deepen the connections with the other people sat around the table, because you get to tell them one very specific thing. What most people tend to try and do with email is they tend to say, we've got this new product or service. I need to tell them everything there is to know about that product or service in one email. Now, that's hard for people to read. It's boring for most people to read, and it doesn't do a particularly good job of selling all the little things. The reason why most people don't pay us for our stuff yet is that they just haven't heard the thing that they need to hear for the penny to drop, for them to jump on it and say, oh, this is the thing that I need. And this has happened loads to us, so we can speak about it from personal experience. We have an IT company that we pay whenever we need something done, taken care of. They're not on like a retainer or anything, but like they just take care of stuff when it's done. And there are things that they were trying to tell us that we should be doing in our business for ages. And we just put them off and put them off and put them off until Piers, one of the guys that works there, just said the right thing on the right day when it made sense to us. And we, oh, that's why it's important. But if they just sent us a sort of a leaflet amount of blurb in an email once and we read it, we would have just discarded it and put it to one side and said, well, oh, that's not for us. And the same thing happens with us trying to convince people they should do email marketing and they should email more often and they should show up more often and they should do this kind of email. Is we just have to turn up every single day and show people case studies and examples and stories and fun things until eventually the penny drops and it all makes sense for them.
So these daily emails then, are you batching them up, or is it literally, first thing in the morning, you're writing some text?
Yeah, it's a combination depending on what you're doing. Most of the time, I get up at 5:30 in the morning because I am that person, and the first thing I do while I flick on the kettle to boil and make my first cup of tea of the day is I'm writing my email. So on the way to boiling the kettle, while it's actually while the water's filling it up, I'm thinking, what's the least boring thing that happened in the last 24 hours that I could turn into a story? Then I boil it, and then I write it, and then I'm sending it out. The exception is on a Friday. Sometimes we'll batch write the ones for the weekend. Or if we're going on holiday, we might batch a whole bunch of them. Or if we're doing a specific promotion. So if we're teaching a particular class and we're opening it up to non-members of our membership. So at that point, we might say, okay, we're going to do a promotion to teach this particular thing. We're going to offer it to our email list, so it's not part of our membership. We might sit and strategize the different elements to do with that email, the different emails that make up that sequence, and batch write them. But here's a big thing, like for those types of things, we don't write them into our email marketing platform. So whatever you're using, whether it's ActiveCampaign or MailChimp or Infusionsoft or Keep or whatever it is you're using, we generally don't write our emails into that, because the problem with that is you get embroiled in the technology of doing that.
My audience, they love technology. So
yeah, exactly. But what you don't want to be doing is trying to be creative at the same time as trying to be technical. And we want to separate those two parts of your brain, right? So when we're trying to be creative and write a story, we write that into a Google Doc. And then once we're happy that we've got the creative bit done, then we can go into tech mode. So then we can go in and see how it fits into our email marketing platform. So you're not having to confuse those two things. The good news is as well, like, if you haven't got time to write your emails, well, we would argue you should make time, because it's one of the highest return on investment activities you can do, statistically speaking, not by us, by like HubSpot and clever people.
Okay.
But if you don't want to write your emails, but you like the tech bit of it, have somebody else in the business write the emails in a Google Doc. Then you can grab that and you can do the sending. So it makes it just a bit easier. But in general, we're showing up each day and writing the story.
So almost sounds to me it's like a habit that we need to form here then. That's kind of just something that you do as part of, it's putting the kettle on, cleaning up the cat mess, write the email.
Yeah. And the more you do it, the quicker it gets. And you just have to find where it fits in your life. For Kennedy, doing it at 5:30 every day for his business suits him. In my business and for Heroes, like I write them just when I feel like it across the course of the day. So sometimes that's 11 in the morning and sometimes it's 11 at night. It's literally just when because that's just how I work. I'm not very good at like daily doing everything at the same time. That's boring to me. So you just have to figure out what works for you best and fit that in. It's whenever is going to get the email sent for you.
Okay. You want to tell me a little bit more about the heroes you mentioned there?
What our email marketing hero stuff?
Yeah. What is this? What? Yeah, we have no idea what this is.
Yeah, I mean, basically, we realized that most email marketing is terrible.
Yeah.
And it didn't have to be. And we realized that if we could show people how to do really good email marketing, two bunches of people would get really good results. One, for all of us receiving emails, if the emails we received were better, we'd hate looking at our inboxes less. And that can only be a good thing.
No,
the second piece is most businesses, even though we've seen online from these big data people that tell us, oh, email marketing is the highest return on investment thing you can do for your business. $1 should turn into $42. And we all, as a small business, we might go, yeah, that's all right though, but I'm not getting those results. So the results we're getting from our emails are not good. So we thought, well, why don't we help businesses to become the email marketing heroes of their business? So Rob and I are not the email marketing heroes. We are showing other businesses how to become the email marketing heroes of your business so you can get better results by delivering more stuff that people like. So that's why we created our podcast, The Email Marketing Show. That's why we created a Facebook group so people can talk about what they're doing in their businesses with email marketing, called The Email Marketing Show Community. And then we created a membership around that called The League. So we basically are obsessed with helping people to understand, and this bit's really important, to understand the psychology of communication so that even if you don't want to get involved in the technology, you don't have to. I mean, luckily we're surrounded today by people who flip and love the technology, so you can do both of those things hand in hand.
Okay, excellent. So back to that technology piece for a moment, and it's something that's probably in our audience's mind. It certainly is in mine. If you're just starting out in this journey in regards to email, it's maybe not something, I may be asking the wrong question for you guys because you very much seem to be about the actual emails themselves, is if you're just getting started on this journey of, email marketing to your prospects and, your existing clients potentially, where do we start? Like, I mean, there's people like out there that will sell you data, like a big list of email addresses for businesses locally. How would I go about, if I'm just starting my IT business today and I want to get my stories out there, my value out there in an email, how do I start going about acquiring email addresses? I don't know if this is something that you cover, but it's a question that I've got because I've got some, some views on this as well.
Yeah. So we would steer away from buying lists as much as possible. You certainly don't want to buy a list, import them into one of the standard off-the-shelf email marketing platforms, and then start emailing them. It's technically illegal. It's going to cause you all sorts of problems. I'll talk about how you could use that data in a second. So what you want to do instead is you want to do everything permission-based. You want to do everything on the basis where somebody, a human within a business, gives you their name and email address, and they give you the permission to email them. And so a couple of easy ways to do that. You want to create some sort of lead magnet, as it's called,
lead magnet,
you give away for free. Having said that, our highest performing lead magnet in our business isn't a PDF. It's not a free resource. It's not a video or a webinar. It's a page on the internet, and this is not a pitch, but if you want to see it, it's just ugly. You just go to emailmarketingheroes.com/daily just to see how ugly it is, even if you don't want to join our list. It's the ugliest page in the world. And it literally says something like, would you like to get our email marketing tips every single day into your inbox? And that, Kennedy actually did a split test against that and our other one. And it was either 56% or 65% higher. Those are the numbers. I can't remember which way around they go. Than, would you like this really cool PDF lead magnet thing? It's get our famous daily emails to level up your email marketing. That's all we say. Enter your details to get our daily tips, stories, advice, and strategies for email marketing. So for you, that might be, get our tech hips to stay on top of the gremlins in your tech and your business, that kind of thing. And so basically that's the simplest one to get up and running, because you don't have to create anything, just a simple page with a form where people put their name and email address in, and then put that everywhere. Put it in the link in your bio and your Instagram and your LinkedIn and your Facebook and everywhere else that you, every kind of social media presence. Have it on your website, create opt-in forms that pop up. I think if you go to our website, there's probably like 25 different places where a thing will slide in, pop up, appear in the middle of a blog post. Mention it on every podcast episode you do if you've got a podcast, every YouTube video if you've got a channel. Everything you do should be driven. Put it in every member of staff's email signature, everything.
Okay.
And literally start to build that traction. And this is not about, because the attraction, of course, about buying an email list is that you suddenly get 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, 20,000.
Yeah, and there's other things like LinkedIn as well. And, you know, it's like, oh, we've got all these LinkedIn contacts. I can just extract all emails from there. And that's a question that we get all the time at IT Rockstars. Can I do this?
So the attraction of doing that is that you suddenly go from nothing to a massive list, but actually a massive list isn't all it's cracked up to be. What we're focused on doing is making the maximum amount of money from the smallest list possible. We run emailmarketingheroes.com, and in that brand, we've got a list of just under 4,500 people. We're not talking about a list of 100,000 people, but that gives us an amazing business, an amazing revenue. So for us, it's about maximizing the amount of money you make from a small list. And I'd be focusing on that rather than trying to acquire a massive list really quickly.
A really good reason to not just go and grab a massive list is if you're a musician, right? If you're just starting off to learn a new instrument, let's say the recorder, everyone's favorite school instrument we all learned to play, I think, right? Did you do that in Scotland as well? Did you?
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, the recorder.
We've got one sitting here, yeah.
So what you don't want to do is your first ever recorder concert. You do not want that to be at the Royal Albert Hall sold out. That's a terrible place to do your first performance. You want to do your first performance in your living room in front of your deaf gran. That's who you want to do it in front of, because the pressure is much lower. You want to be bad and get to grips with this in front of a smaller audience. And as you get better, you'll grow your audience and you can show your expertise to more people. So start off with a small list. Be bad in front of them. Get going in front of them. That's okay. They'll be forgiving because they know you're getting going as well, right? Because you can tell them. Being honest is like a really good thing for building trust and rapport to get customers in the door, right? So let's be bad in front of fewer people and then grow your list slowly. The other bad thing about buying an email list is your engagement from a bunch of people who did not request to hear from you is going to be super, super low. 0.5%, 0.25%, something like that. Whereas if you have people join your list because they want to hear your tips, not just tips about their IT, but they want to hear your tips about IT, then your relationship with them starts off on a much better footing, which means your engagement, the replies you get, the clicks, the number of appointments you drive from that is always going to be higher.
Okay, that's the perfect analogy for me. I love that, the recorder lessons. We need to go to the lessons first before we can play to the concert. Right. Okay, so this would probably be my final question. And it's regards to, you know, you mentioned getting someone else to potentially write the email within the company. Should it be seen that it's coming from the business owner? You know, because a lot of our members are maybe usually between, 1 to 10 or to 20 in size. And it's usually the business owner that is seen as the head of the business or the sales guy.
Yeah.
Should it be them that's, it's coming from them, even though it's written by someone else, or should it be by the other person, the other employee within the company?
So the thing you definitely don't want to do, and I'll come on to that in a second, is you definitely don't want it to be from the company name. So if you were sending emails, the way that we would do it is we would have it come from Scott // IT Rockstars.
Yeah.
You want it to come from your name. So our emails come from Rob / email.
Yeah, that's how I get them in my inbox.
Email Marketing Heroes. And so that allows you to never get confused about, but which Scott is it? Is this the Scott that I really like reading his IT tips? Or is this the Scott where actually he just sends me rubbish that I don't remember opting in for and all of this stuff. So that's the first thing that's really important. Okay. In terms of who it comes from in the business, doesn't matter too much, and you can mix it up a little bit. If you've got more than one person, so maybe you're the business owner and then you've got a couple of members of staff, that gives you an advantage in terms of being able to send more emails and have more stuff going on. Sometimes we'll send multiple emails about different things at the same time for very strategic reasons as part of a campaign. In order to sort of, I don't want to say get away with it, but in order to get away with that, or at least make it lighter, some of the emails come from me and some of the emails come from Kennedy. So if you happen to have you as a business owner and some members of staff, that's quite helpful. Or if you're I want to say a double act, if you're a business partnership, then again, you can get away with that. And that works really, really
If Laurel and Hardy are listening.
Exactly. So that's one thing you can do. So for us, it doesn't really matter. People can get to know the people in your business. I mean, with our IT providers, we actually deal with, I mean, we know the guy that owns it, but we deal with his staff much more often than we do with him. So if an email comes from one of them rather than the business owner, that's perfectly okay, because actually they're the ones we have a laugh at with while they're setting up our routers and doing all the stuff that they have to do. And so for us, it's the people that it makes the most sense. If it's somebody in your business happens to be a great writer and you want them to do it, if they happen to have a natural flair for this and that you want them to do it, putting their name on it's fine if people know who they are.
What would you feel about like a persona, like just like a made up person?
You can do that. We've seen people do it where the emails come from the office dog, and the sort of the office dog talks about the things that they've noticed going on in the business. If you can make that part of your brand and it suits it. Now, for most people, that's not going to suit, right? It sort of reminds me when I first started off being Rob and I both come from a background of being performers and entertainers, and we've always worked for ourselves. When we were really, really new, we never wanted to be the person chasing the money if someone owed us their invoice, right? Okay. So we both came up with Imaginary Marjorie. And Imaginary Marjorie was the accounts lady, and she was this horrible bitch of a woman who would chase money. But Rob and Kennedy, the performers, would never chase money. But Marjorie, Imaginary Marjorie, she was the one. So I think people have done that, and it's absolutely fine to do it. But you definitely want to make sure it sort of matches your brand. We've seen people do it with, my email marketing platform's name is Dave. So Dave is, and you personify your email marketing platform, or the office dog, or, whatever it's going to be, Ivan the internet or whatever it could be. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, guys. As I say, that was my last question, but is there anything that you think I maybe missed from this that you'd like to kind of express to our audience?
I think the one thing to remember is the reason people come and join your email list is because they've got a problem. They are usually overwhelmed by their technology, and that's the reason they need to hire you in the first place. So their first step to that relationship with you is going to be joining your email list to find out tips that they can solve things for themselves and be aware of the stuff they don't even know is a problem. There's loads of stuff you know is a problem in a business that most business owners don't even know is a problem. Their security is a huge part of that, right? Or some of their efficiency things they could be doing. So the reason they join your email list is to solve those problems. And if you can every day or a few times a week show up in their inbox and give them small hints and tips of solutions to those problems, make them aware of some of their problems so they can keep an eye on stuff, then you've got to change your mindset that your email marketing is an annoyance and you try to sell to people. You're not. You're giving them value. You're giving them solutions. You're helping them with the very thing they want help with. And then each day you can remind them that if they want your help to do this and to implement this and make it faster and use your expertise to do it in a much more expert level way, then they can do that. So see your email marketing as valuable. See it as a way that people are getting the solutions to problems they want solutions to. And when they're ready to buy, they will.
Okay. I think you've maybe convinced me. I've got a little bit of a challenge in my hands now, guys, but I do appreciate your time here today. How can people get in touch with you? Where's the best place to go and check out you guys for more information?
I would guess as you're listening to this, you probably like podcasts. So you can go and find the Email Marketing Show on your favorite podcast player. It's funny. We like to mess around a lot. We have guests sometimes, and you can just find it wherever you do that. So subscribe to the Email Marketing Show. And if you want to ask questions about how this applies to you specifically in your business, come and join us and a few thousand other people inside the Email Marketing Show community on Facebook. It's a really friendly place. And I'll just bash the desk. You don't have to, but if you want to, on the way in, you can give us your email address, and then you'll start receiving our daily emails. And you'll see how this actually works in practice.
Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show today. This is IT Rockstars. We do have a special link set up. It's ITRockstars/email. That'll take you to Robin Kennedy's as well. And also on that point on lead magnets, we've got a free lead magnet here at IT Rockstars that will allow you to put it on your website. And it'll track emails that are coming in. If anyone that's maybe worried that they're hacked, it'll go and search the Have I Been Pwned API. So you can get that at itrockstars.net. That's for today, folks. I'll catch you later. Bye.